Hi there, that's right. It's the great and glorious, soon to be famous one day, Nick Dutch, back on the camera again one more time. On this particular YouTube channel, I tend to do tarot readings. These are by request. So essentially you can send a private message through on this YouTube user account, Nick Dutch Tarot, and I'm more than happy to help and oblige in whatever way I can. So yeah, it is essentially by request. It's not like on demand, because I've got to go through the backlog, work out which readings I want to do, and then basically put them all together into the video. There have been some people who are saying things like, could you possibly give me a free reading by email? Well, I'm sorry, that's not the way I work. If you want to request something that's free, then it's going to have to go out on video at the moment, alright? That's just the way that this particular channel is operating. I do email readings, but you've got to go straight to my website and then basically buy one. That's not actually for free, because this job as a professional tarot reader is what I do every single day. It's my professional full-time job, okay? Now, a tarot reading, as I'm sure you've already guessed, is billed legally as an entertainment service. Now, there's a very good reason for that. Namely, you are still in control of your life in every possible way, and you've got to remember that. And you need to see your readings as like an opportunity for contemplation, reflection, to try and get a different perspective so that you can basically carry on with your life. The kind of questions you can ask your reader can be about love or relationships or career, sometimes about finance to a certain degree and within certain limits, okay? There are the occasional questions which come through to me surrounding death. That's not a subject that I would touch whatsoever under any circumstances. I also will not touch subjects such as pregnancy, medical matters, or childbirth. Everyone in this society today has their own specialities, and I do not regard myself in this capacity to be a medical advisor. Okay, I can tell you basically what's happened to me with various health problems I've had and what I've done, but that's basically all I can do. So, without further ado, we'll get straight on with the next reading, and we'll see basically what's coming through today on the wonderful, mysterious Mystic Tarot. Okay, the first inquirer today has got a YouTube channel called FreeWorld06, and this particular individual is very interested in the evolution and development of their relationship life. There's one particular individual that she's got a bit of a connection with. She's had a lot of bad experiences with men in the past, and now wants to make sure that this next one is actually going to work out okay, and basically, you know, what's going on there. So all I can do is tell you what I can see, still using the good old-fashioned trustworthy Book of Thoth Tarot. I actually must sort of invest in another one. As you can see, it's getting a bit dogged, so to speak. But never mind. But let's just have a quick look and see. Okay, standard 8-card relationship reading, a la Nick Dutch. One of the best ways of doing things, I feel, is a way in which you feel comfortable, actually. Some people say, you know, there's one particular spread for this, one particular spread for that. With practice and experience, you start to realize that there's some things that you can answer, and you can focus in more with certain spreads, and you can design certain spreads for certain reasons. So I tend to stick to a basic background of 3 designs, and I tend to vary them depending upon the actual situation, what's happening, and the nature of the inquiry that's given. General readings, yeah, I can do them, but essentially general readings are by their very nature very general anyway, and if there is something on your mind, it's better that you ask, because I don't know the questions you're going to ask, but I can use the questions you're going to ask to do my linking in weird bit, okay? Just something to bear in mind. Now, as far as your connection's concerned with this one particular individual, it's looking interesting. It's looking rather weird as well, because the way that the story that's being told by the tarot and the feelings I'm getting is coming through, or is manifesting, is a little hot and cold at the moment. Now, when I say hot and cold, I don't necessarily mean it's moving through periods of being very good, then very bad, then very good, and very bad. But I feel is you haven't quite reached that stage yet. I mean, on your side of things, quite positive energies there, although there is a sense of there being negativity from the past, which has led you to be a bit defensive and possibly to feel under a lot of pressure. The colours and the sensations there is that you've reached a certain level of learning. There is some very strong signs relating to learning and extra wisdom coming through this card, although the Ten of Staves is often regarded as being negative because it's called oppression. Okay, it's actually labelled as oppression at the bottom there. I don't know whether you can see that, but it's not necessarily something negative, because it's to do with learning and learning through stressful situations. Not necessarily a feeling of powerlessness, alright, but definitely a sense of learning through difficulty. I think you've been through the difficulty, and if you know your astrology, and you could see these signs close up, you'll see that at the top there's the symbol of Saturn, talking about the strife you've been through and the wisdom that you've now gained. And at the bottom we've got a symbol which is much more to do with victory in conflicts, something which often comes up when there is a legal victory coming through. And in your particular case, it's a question of a victory in terms of perspective about relationships. So you've been defensive, now you're realizing what you've learned there, and you're able to start moving on further forward. Now on his side of things, not a bad looking character at all, rather driven, very material world focused, which can be a good thing, because we all need to keep an eye on our stability these days, especially with the economy the way it is at the moment, if you get my drift there. Someone who could be rather hard working, maybe he can occasionally be a bit of a workaholic, but on the other hand, he knows his subject, and that's a good thing. You don't want to take that away from him. Okay? The thing which I call the forces between you, which defines the connection at the moment, yes, it is in the Suit of Cups, and that suggests or defines love. Okay? But it's a card which is not necessarily all that positive. But it's a card which is not positive, which is also reversed, so that's essentially implying that there is affection there is love there, without the shadow of a doubt, going both ways. The situation or the circumstances are not totally perfect at present, and so there is some anxiety of the possibility of failure or disappointment, or maybe your effort is not necessarily going to be paid back to you to the right level that you'd like. But that's only in the here and now part of the reading, and it only defines the kind of like messages we've got right now. Progression through short-term, mid-term and long-term future is actually looking a lot better. There's still more signs relating to further learning, and also adjusting to each other within the short-term future. The longer-term future signs, again, mirroring the same signs we had here, those which are of the cup suit, of the love attitude. And yes, there's more signs of overcoming difficulty with the Seven of Swords reversed. Reversed cards are not bad cards, it's just that the meaning is changed based upon the surrounding cards, the surrounding signs, and also anything else which is coming through to myself. So essentially there's a different aspect to the meaning, and it could become more complex, not necessarily negative. And I think that's something else you got to remember when you have a reading with someone. So there is some very good quality longer term portents. I feel that the complexities in your current relationship with this individual are in fact a positive thing. The message of disappointment has not been reiterated in the future. So essentially, you're going to start developing more confidence with the passage of time. See how it goes, see how it develops. I'm not going to turn around to you and tell you it's going to be perfect, okay, because it's not that type of situation. And you know what I'm talking about there already. Alright, but it's also not looking bad, and I feel you've gone through enough wisdom and learning to bring yourself to the point whereby you can actually start feeling happier. Okay? Alright, now let's move on with the next reading of today and see what's coming through there. Just a second, please. Okay, we've got a YouTube user Inquirer whose channel name is Prag4285, I think. And this particular individual has got an intensely complex relationship inquiry. The full minutiae of this situation I'm not going to go into during this particular video, but there's family issues involved and all the rest of that. I'm just going to try and focus in on the main body of the question, which is to do with the inquirer and the individual that she's currently with, and whether there really is a future there. As is traditional, I'm doing my shuffling now, okay, making sure we get a nice good quality randomized reading and see what kind of thoughts, feelings, moods and energies appear for you today. So bear with me 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, as I often say. I'm often a bit anxious when I do a reading, because I never know what kind of results are going to come through. Alright, these spreads have not been doctored in any way. All I'm doing is showing you basically what's come out. Again, 8-card relationship reading. Signs on his side of things, center sadness. I feel that he feels that he's going to be taken away from you, and he's afraid of that. But there's also a sense of his own intelligence and his own wisdom, which is going to be a guiding light. I feel he may get the strength to actually challenge the authoritarian command which are being placed upon him, as it were, from above. In this particular case, he's someone who actually wants to be with you, but he's finding it difficult, and it's going to be difficult in many different ways. You've got a fight on your hands. That's the forces between you, the thing which defines the relationship. But there's also continuing communication and a very strong bond there. So it looks much better than you may think in the here and now, and indeed more better than even he thinks about it in the here and now. Your side of things towards him, a very strong willpower, a very strong love towards him. You have to state your case. You have to state your case to your parents, to your family, and to all the relatives and everyone else who's involved about how good this individual can be to you, especially in the long term. He's got lots of great attributes in terms of career and ability to make money in the future and to be able to look after you. And I feel there is love there. So already we're seeing a future emerging. His fears, I think that's something to be concerned about. But carry on communicating to him the benefits there, and the benefits are that he has the right attitude, you have the right attitude, so make something good happen. Progress in the future. Well, unfortunately, and yes, I'm using that word unfortunately because I don't always give you happy, giggly, bubbly readings, okay? Not all life situations are positive. There's further interference. Not interference from him being with anyone else, but interference from other people who think they've got, let's say, their own agenda towards the relationship between you and other people. But to the most part, we've got some excellent signs there relating to victory and willpower. Fire signs often talk about willpower. They talk about energy, drive, putting energy into something, namely taking action to try and make sure you get the right quality of results. And if I expand the reading even further, we get even more fire signs. Now there must be a reason for that, and why this energy would be so dominant within this particular reading, and why those signs relating to interference would be quite so minor by comparison. Think about it. Why would that be? Be brave and take action, because that's essentially what the reading is suggesting will actually bring you the results that you're after. You've already told me in your private message the complexities of the situation in the background. I'm not going to go into that right now. But I think you're already aware that this is a time that requires responsibility, and responsibility that comes from action. And as such, I feel that you and your partner are going to be able to fight and get the results that you're after. Don't sit back. Don't allow other people to make decisions for you. You don't have that luxury anymore. Be strong and take responsibility here. Okay, we got a YouTube user inquirer whose YouTube channel is Cancerian65, I think. Yep, that's right, Cancerian65, and she's drawn to someone that she used to know from a long, long, long time ago. So let's see what kind of thoughts, feelings, moods, energies, and all the rest of that are appearing here, considering the nature of this particular relationship. Okay. And whether it's going to, evolve, develop, and all the rest of that. Connections with people that we've known a long time ago can also be complex, because there's baggage from the past. You've both gone through an awful lot of change, and that can add extra factors into the whole sort of relationship and understanding. And then moving forward into the future, we'll have to see basically what happens and what goes on there. Just a second, please. Again, standard 8-card relationship reading. For some reason, the universe has just given me lots of love questions today. Maybe it's there to try and teach me more about the emotion myself. Who knows? Alright. Very interesting indeed. There is the emergence of stability there. That's the forces between you, the Prince of Discs, talking about something of the earth, also talking about stability, consistency, hard work, hard labour, trying to get a result sorted out. On your side of things, all of these signs dramatically associated with change. The Lover's card does sometimes deal with the start of a new relationship, but it also deals with moving on to a time whereby you're in control, and that's something else to bear in mind. On his side of the reading, incredibly strong connection with you. I feel that he's already had some feelings for you which he's never been able to articulate. So that's always a very good thing, okay? He's also someone who wants to actually be more in control in a relationship. So there may be some kind of conflict there depending upon the roles you want to take in various different aspects of the whole sort of relationship connection. But still not looking too bad. No negatives there at all, okay? So essentially you're starting from quite an even level, so that's obviously very good and very positive in its own right. Progression into the future, short term, mid term, long term, Again, we have the reiteration of stability, which is also very positive. And your midterm future signs is talking about fun and recreation. The Wheel of Fortune often deals with pleasure, okay? But it can also deal with a bit of a risk and a bit of a gamble. Your longer term future signs, that's amazing, alright? Because that's talking about the potential to make this more of a life partner connection. I actually see this in a very positive light, but I'm personally seeing this in a very down-to-earth level. I'm not turning around to you and saying like red roses and champagne every day. What I am doing is saying that there is stability that we've seen in various different times within the relationship connection, and moving on to something which has greater potential. So in that respect, it feels okay. I'm not too concerned about that. Alright, I don't feel that you need to be concerned about that. I think that what you need to do is just to take it in your stride and realise that there is some potential for longer term future developments, but it's still a question of trying to make things happen for yourself, okay? So it's looking quite interesting, and I feel very strong about your ability to turn this around into something which is good and into something which is consistent. Okay, now we've got a reading for Danielle, who's got another complex relationship situation. What is it about today in complex relationship situations? Oh dear. Anyway, she's been with someone for about 12 years and has got a relationship with him, but this is an individual who's not actually been treating him very well. So in that respect, there's been a few issues going on. So she's inquiring whether someone else can basically come into the relationship, obviously bearing in mind she's now got a child with the first man. So this is really rather intriguing. Let's just see what kind of thoughts, feelings, moods and energies are appearing today. Again, you guessed it, standard 8-card relationship reading. But this is only on the existing relationship. It's very difficult for me to put this into words, because the first person I'm reading on is the person you've had your connection with for 12 years. And he's showing signs of a strong desire for change and progress, making sure any feelings of difficulty and futility associated with him and his personality are basically being got rid of and turned around. He's creating a sense of peace and mutual agreement between yourself and him, thus making life seem a little easier. You haven't lost your connection with him, despite the fact he's been a bit of a silly billy in the past. The mid-term future between 3 and 6 months associated with him is looking quite interesting in terms of a new beginning developing, and with some very, very interesting loving signs associated with this individual you seem to want to get rid of. But is someone else coming into your life? That's the question. So now we move on to the next type of reading, which is a chronological spread. And this is where it's fascinating, because you know, the struggle and strife that you're going through in the short-term future is quite evident there. There's a strong set, I mean, the reading is portraying you as the Queen of Swords occasionally. Alright, the Queen of Swords is a strong and dominant female figure, and often one who can be a bit vindictive, especially towards men. But sometimes that can be a good thing if you have to protect yourself. Now, I'm now inquiring of you whether you feel this is because of the situations in the past, or whether you feel that he's continues to play up and you need to carry on defending yourself. Is this to do with preconceptions based upon your previous assessment of him? Is he actually going through change, and are you seeing him through the filter of the past? But, on the other hand, we've got some amazing signs associated with a loving connection, associated with someone new developing, probably in the winter of this year. I mean, the solar signs there I'm picking up as being something to do with our solar festivals that we have in this part of the world, if you get my drift. You know, we're talking about midwinter time, and some kind of connection developing at about that time, which might possibly also be good for you. Your future is going to be very dynamic, very flowing, very much in a state of flux, okay? So it's not going to be quite as easy and solid as you would like. It's not a concrete, stable path from cradle to grave for you, and there will be some big decisions to be made on the way. I mean, I've got a lot of faith in you to be able to make those decisions, but I would also say, don't always jump to conclusions as to what a person is based upon what they used to be. And that goes for your new man as well. Alright? No, I'm not going to turn around to you and tell you which one you're going to end up with. You're going to have to take some responsibility there and make a hard and fast decision for yourself. But the potential is definitely there. Okay, we got a repeat inquiry from Gothstar Medium Lunar, and this one's actually quite a positive inquiry for myself, actually, because it's a bit of a change from the majority. One of the wonderful things about my job as a tarot reader is it's always very varied. You never know what kind of inquiries are going to come on down the telephone, or what kind of inquiries are going to come down the internet, and every single one is a challenge for me. Now, this particular inquirer, Gothstar Medium Lunar, is inquiring about what looks like a bit of creative work that she's doing, and she wants to make sure that she'll have enough time to do it and to try and fit that in before school and or during and or after school, basically. But let's have a quick look and see. Chronological spread this time, quite a short one, just to focus in on the key issues there, okay? Alright, now, standard short spread. The main purpose of me doing a short reading with a question which is basically that short is just to try and make sure I keep focused and keep discipline to the actual subject, as I'm sure you can appreciate. There's some very successful signs as far as effort and, putting in your determination to get a result. Then further on down the line, very good signs relating to a sense of happiness from achievement, and also the reading portraying you as someone who's going to be well regarded for having done something that's good, and possibly a new era in your life developing as a result of expanding your own mind. I don't see this as being a final case or a final case situation. I see this as being part of you developing more skills which you're going to deploy for your revenue generation later on down the line. Because what you're studying and this particular project, they're two different things, but they've got the capacity to sort of like dovetail somehow within a couple of years. So yes, I do feel you're going to be able to get this done, possibly before school starts or possibly within the first few terms. And then after that, look forward to the longer term financial result, which apparently is quite good. Okay, well, we got another inquiry from a YouTube user inquirer. His channel name is Amy Love Makeup, which is a beautiful name. She's actually given me two inquiries and has requested that I only choose one of them. Well, I'm going to actually be a little broader than that, and I'm going to choose both of them, and we're going to quite simply see what the readings say, or what I say, about both of those two inquiries. Now, on one side of things, you're inquiring about your own spirit guides. The moment I read your question, I actually got an impression coming through of someone in what looks like Victorian dress, but it's not quite the standard Victorian dress that I would associate with this part of the world within the United Kingdom. I'm feeling something of a more slightly puritanical nature. This is an individual who is female. I would say not necessarily senior, possibly in her 20s or 30s. That's the way she's coming through to myself. Not very well off, but seems to manage to make it to the point of getting married. Now, I'm actually sensing her wearing a wedding gown. She's dressed for the purposes of getting married. Why she would be appearing to me in spirit as someone who's about to get married, I don't know. Maybe she died on her wedding night. That would make some sense, but I'm not feeling or seeing any signs of injury, so she wasn't attacked. This must have just been through natural causes. The time period, maybe 200 years ago. Her message is to make sure that you don't suffer what she's been through. She's been through a lot of persecution. Could be for religious reasons, I'm not sure. And she wants to give you her strength. That's the first one I felt. The second one was more of an animal creature, or something which had the energy of an animal, so to speak. A creature that is reasonably tribal but also quite independent. A creature that has a strong sense of wisdom and also a desire to defend. This one appears to be similar to the energy of a wolf. Not in a negative way, not in a scary way. It's not, a horror film werewolf, okay? It's just a protective male energy around you. One who wants to look after you and make sure that all harm is kept away from you. Both of these spiritual entities seem to have the desire to turn you into a healer of some description. And how that's going to work out, I don't know. they're aware that you've got some pain inside you, not just because of your present situation, but also because of your history. But they want you to try and use that in a positive way. And the second question was much more to do with your relationship. And you seem to be having a lot of fights with your partner, according to your little message. And you want me to see basically whether things can actually improve rather than basically deteriorate any further. Okay, so here we go. Right. Your question actually asked me whether you're built to last. That's a question which I will have to ask you back. Alright, because you will know more about that. There's struggle and strife here. There's a bit of passionate energy going on. On his side of things, he's not very good at looking at the hard and fast facts which are around him, and he's rather resilient. When I see the Nine of Staves, I don't just see strength, I see inner strength, namely a sense of donkey stubbornness, maybe. Do you think he's stubborn? Do you think he's not very good at paying attention to things which are obvious to you? Maybe it would be worthwhile trying to communicate the things which are obvious, because I don't think they're obvious to him. There's a lot of passion there, and maybe some of the conflict actually gives him a bit of extra strength, because I don't think this relationship is weakening. I think that in some strange ways it's getting stronger. It's now up to you to work out in what ways it's getting stronger and how you can actually turn this around so it can actually work out beneficially for both you and for him. That's what I feel. Alright? So it's not bad, and it's like pretty orgasmic loving signs in your mid-term and long-term future. A strong sense of victory in the longest term future. Okay, yes, those signs or that card was reversed, but on the other hand, because it's preceded by very strong cup signs, the Two of Cups and the Ace of Cups I regard as being very good and very strong anyway. So that's all very, very good indeed. And as far as are you built to last, well, we've got earth signs coming through. Earth signs talk about stability. They talk about consistency. They talk about building up the basis of familiarity. I think you can turn these negatives, these arguments around into something positive, which can actually make you feel very good about how the relationship life has the capacity to develop in the longer term future. I don't really feel that these things which you feel are weakening the relationship are actually going to weaken the relationship. I actually think they're going to make it stronger for you. I do. If you use them wisely. You know, you're both grown-ups now. You're both adults. You can start to take a different perspective about what a relationship is about and what it is you want to be able to manifest in the relationship life with the passage of time in the future. And I feel that you've got the capacity to make sure it can happen. So definitely see how it goes. I mean, my reading is saying that there's pretty squelchy red hot stuff in the future, and all you got to do is to get there. But tell him what you feel is obvious, which he hasn't quite latched on to, because that's actually quite an important thing to do right now. Okay? Alright, well, that's the tarot show for today. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any inquiries, please send them through by private message. I do welcome you to leave comments, but don't leave your inquiry in the comments, otherwise I lose track, basically. And that can be like negative or difficult for me. So try and keep it going through in the private message section of the YouTube account, Nick Dutch Tarot, and I'll be more than happy to, add you to the rota. Sometimes if you've inquired a bit too much, then I'm not going to probably go to your readings, okay? But on the other hand, if you want to be a repeat inquirer, you can be, and I'm very happy for you to do repeat inquiries. But of course, think about things in terms of moderation, alright? I will bid you good fortune, God and or Goddess and or none of the above bless. Look after yourself, don't go crazy, try not to take life too seriously, try and treat your readings as being that moment of contemplation, self-development, therapy, getting another point of view, or whatever it is that you need at that point in time, alright? And remember, you are the one and only person who is totally in control of your life. Okay? I'll speak to you again very, very soon.